Hello everybody and welcome to Blue Goose Garage. This is the third 67 recap video. I want to go ahead and mention this. I can't possibly show everything I did to this car in these videos and get somewhere in each video. I've got to skip things. But if you want to watch everything I did, in the description below this video is a playlist of everything I've done from the beginning till now. So if you want to watch those, they're not going anywhere. These videos are just something that I wanted to do in an effort to, to make some of this easier to watch, really. There's a few things in this video. It basically picks up where the last one left, with a little bit in the floor pan stuff, the rear frame, that engine, and I ended it with the first drive. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more. And here we go. This is the back of a 67 Malibu that I got the frame out of. I want to use as much of this as I can. There's going to have to be a lot of creative re-engineering. I came down here, I got it lined up. The mounts that are under here are lined up with the bolt holes dead center. The mounts that are under that rear corner on both sides are lined up. I'm going to weld all this in. I might try to fix that a little bit better. That's the rear seat mount and brace, and it's half gone. This is what I did in that last video. I welded the top of this and half the sides. I got to go back and weld the sides and the bottom. The frame's in pretty good shape, considering it spent most of that time sitting on the ground. Somebody else had put a wheel well and a patch on this quarter, and it didn't line up. The driver's side did great, but I had to redo this one. Stripping the passenger cylinder head. Well, we know for certain that in the last 40 years, it's not had rings put in it. It's not had bearings put in it. I'm taking the heads off. We're going to see how bad the cylinders are. Some of you might find this strange. I get an emotional attachment to certain things, and I guess it's where I miss him. 10 years ago, he had a heart attack, but before that, he had had mesothelioma for years. We got this truck off of him back when he needed the money more than he needed the truck. This engine's been in and out of it a few times. It's always used oil. It used oil enough that I don't think he really ever missed the fuel changes. If you had to put a quart of oil in something every day, it's getting an oil change. Other than a few years ago when I put timing chain in it, because this engine used to have a lot more sludge in it, and it made the bypass for the oil pump stick open. I took it apart and cleaned it and shop vacked it out and everything, and I put a timing chain in it because it was loose. It's not had anything else done to it in at least 40 years. Well, I'm not content with just leaving it out of a car or out of a truck. So I'm going to put rings in this engine, head gaskets in it, silicone everything else. That's all I'm going to do. That kind of rebuild would have been what my uncle would have had done. He'd have had it re-ringed, and that's it. Probably would have just been put back together with the shitty heads that I'm taking off of it. So it'll run. I never took one of these apart back when they were new, just recent blown up or just worn out back in the 70s. But I think that's a GM rod bearing. Cylinders look great. I'm amazed. I don't know how, but the valve guides are fine in these heads. Intake exhausts, there's plenty of life left. So I'm working on the head a little bit, and one of my intake valves, the stem's messed up pretty good. It had broke a valve spring at one time, and it gacked up the top of the valve. So I went up in the barn and found this one. I want to lap it in. So the seat looks fine. So's the valve. So I'm going to oil that up and put it in. Those 3 intake valves, I didn't do anything but clean them because they were set. They were fine. They were running. This one, I lapped it in, got it cleaned up. Those valve seals are the old ones off the L78's heads. I saved them. The intake valves I was pretty much able to leave alone, except for that one. The exhaust valves, I'm going to have to lap in a completely different set until I get what I think will run valve seat. There's the right way to do something, the wrong way to do something, and somewhere in between this is. It might not last as long as it would if I had a valve job done and bought new everything. And when it's all said and done, it's mine. Tapped an exhaust valve in. It's honestly looking pretty good. Pour some gasoline in it and see what it leaks like. I consider that a win. So that head's ready. Alright. Pistons are clean. Piston's clean. I've got my engine on the back of this. Don't know how much of that you can see. May even lose my phone. Ran out of gas. The important part is it cranked and ran.
I need to give it any gas.
No, it should crank right up.
It lives.
Yep.
Time that transmission's done anything since probably 1978.
Sitting on the floor with a piece of wire as a gas pedal. But I'll show you a little more in a second. It made it back. Transmission works about 80% of the time. Really like second gear, but you know, it's set forever. I think it'll get better. What do you think?
Looks good to me.
How about the transmission?
Sounds good to me. It didn't leave its parts all over the road, so that's a win, I say.
But it works. It stops. It steers. It actually drives better than the 70 does. But if you've ever driven a, I don't know what to compare that to, maybe a
Rat rod.
motorcycle with no helmet at about 50 miles an hour through a dust storm with your ass on fire, you might know what it was like to drive that car.
Gotta spit that bow out.
Yeah. But it made it. We're going to put a 12 bolt together and in the car, and I'm going to